Hello, fellow traders. 'Tis I, the Rumpled One. Let's talk trading. Sunday, November the 12th, the year 2017. As we're beginning the week, so of course, let's look at the weekly open and gap. So I've got the dashboard set up to show the weekly gaps, and you can see we've got some open gaps here. See, dollar yen we filled, but let's take a look here. The Australian dollar has not filled the gap. So you can see here's the weekly close, and the weekly opens down here because we're on the daily candle, and you can see it is trying to fill that gap. So had you got in at the open price of 86.83, you'd be up about 13 pips right now. As you can see, it had a gap of 14 pips. And there's a few others. The pound, dollar, it gapped down and is continuing down. You see that right there? So fading that gap wouldn't have worked out too well. But if you would have put the buy zone on, you would have gone short. Or you would have passed on the trade. And somebody asked last week about how. Well, you know there's a strong possibility that this gap will fill. So maybe sometime later in the week, price just might turn around and fill it. It's something to look forward to. Let's see, it looks like all of the, well, we had one pound pair fill, but it must be some bad news for Britain, because you can see there's some healthy gaps right there. So there might be a possibility that the pound turns around and tries to fill that gap. Once again, it's just a simple trade. We're going to look for it to fill. Let's see here. Let's find one that did fill that I like to trade. I don't see anything here. Oh, well, yeah, here's one. The euro yen. You can see here there was a very small gap, only of about 3 pips, 42 to 39. And prices moving in. It looks like we might even have a breakout from yesterday's or the previous session, Friday's wick zone. Actually, if you look at it, it did break out. So once again, one of those simple horizontal trades. But on a Sunday, Monday, it's Sunday here in the West Coast, but the markets opened over in Europe and Asia beforehand. So that's what we've got going right now. Really not that exciting. It's just a standard trade, something to look for. That weekly gap or the crossover. Looking here, we can see from the daily close to open, there's been some nice moves here. And some of them have barely moved. So the ones in the magenta or pink color, depends on what your eyes see, those are ones within 5 pips of the weekly open / daily open, because since this is the first day of the week, it's also the weekly open. Now let's see, we can switch the chart over to a daily chart, and you can see this is the breakout of the high right there. This was Friday's open, D1. And today's open's right here. Like I said, this is not rocket science. This is really, really, really simple stuff. This weekly open trade. And you can just have that horizontal line for the rest of the week, and anytime you see it crossing it, you might want to jump in because you can see there's a lot of movement across those opens. A lot of movement. So if you look at last week's open here on the euro yen, you can see it came back, barely touched it, went back down. So if you had gone south, there was money to be made. And here, this time, you could have taken it north to make money. We can probably scan a few other pairs. Let's see, last week's open. I think we did the yen before. Let's see what the pound did. Okay. Weekly open. It was not much action there. Boom. So, once again, you just have to wait for your trade. Let's see, how about the euro? Last week's open was here. So that was the Monday candle, Sunday candle. You can see here it tried, but then on Thursday there was a nice move to the upside. So that's what you look for. It might take it a few days, or it might come back the next day, but you look for those moves. So here, if you looked for it and you went long, it didn't really give you much. You would have probably most likely stopped out and maybe reversed, or you would have stopped out and then you had a second chance here to more than make up. Let's see, that's about what, 64 pips from open to last week's high. I think you would have made up your stop loss. So that's pretty much how you trade it. Once again, you see the trade, you take the trade, you have your, use your risk management, how much you're willing to risk to see if the trade you put on is going to win or lose. Because that's all risk is. And you have your stop loss at a smart, reasonable area. And then you just sit back and wait. Because waiting is 99% of trading. I mean, put a trade on, takes about a second or two. Take a trade off, second or two. It's all waiting. I've said that before, but for those of you who may be new, that's just something you need to understand. There's just a lot of waiting. Let's see. Let's just take a look at one more pair here. Okay, wow, look at this. Here's last week's open right here. You had downside movement, upside movement, downside movement, and a little up and down movement here. So if you were trading the Aussie yen using last week's open, there was some nice trading to be had. And if you would have taken a buy zone open trade here, you never would have looked back off that Monday candle. You came back Tuesday, you set up the trap for the short, and you would have made it. And here on the next day, you set up the trap for the long trap. What I mean by that is the trade. You put the trade in, and you can walk away. If price hits it, it triggers it, you're in. And then here, once again, you could have put the trap on. And let's see, that would have been high 24. That was only about 5 pips. Depending if you were watching it or not, you may have taken a small gain, or you would have stopped out. But you can't win them all, not really. So that's trading, my fellow traders. I hope that answers any questions. Once again, I'll do this probably on Sunday. Just to show you, because there's still some gaps here that you might want to put the trade on. And it's just that simple. And so, as always, fellow traders, it's not what you trade, it's how you trade it. TheRumpledOne signing off to go drain the banks.